Okay, here we go. It's the morning of August 31st, 2019. I'm still going through this process of going through my ethical presence manuscript. And most recently, I did the piece on Frank Sinatra, My Way. And now we're moving into a few pieces that consider, and they won't do it completely because obviously there's a lot I have to work out in this area, given my own biography. But considering the difference between art and entertainment. Okay. And the first one of these pieces uh, that's here in the manuscript is called Cynical Voices. I think probably I wrote this in like 2016, probably 2016, maybe 2017. Okay. And again, I think this stuff is still valid. It has some references that aren't like completely current to the moment, and I think that makes no difference at all. Because as a matter of fact, it is current. I'm going to talk about Two and a Half Men. Two and a Half Men's being shown in syndication all over the place. So Two and a Half Men is part of our world. It's not like it's something that came and went, although it will eventually. But I think that this piece, it has a timelessness about it because I think what I do is art and what Two and a Half Men does is entertainment. And I think what I do is harder and I think it's better. Okay. So first, we're going to put that out there. All right. This first piece, this contemplation of art versus entertainment is Cynical Voices. I watched 15 minutes of Two and a Half Men last night. It was a syndicated rerun with Charlie Sheen, I guess, as opposed to Ashton Kutcher, right? And it came on after the early evening news. I have always disliked Two and a Half Men and never understood its popularity. This was not a particularly informed opinion since I had never seen the show. I based my view on my emotional revulsion at the promos for the show that I would see while watching something else. Now, I have seen it. I still think the show is dreck, but I have a little more understanding of its popularity. It seems it is a contemporary version of a classic American comedic form, the middle-class sex farce. The middle-class sex farce features a middle-class man who is average in many ways. He has all the money he needs without working. Well, that's not average. He also has exposure to an improbable number of pretty middle-class women who are interested in or potentially interested in making love to him. The form is decidedly unromantic. Love and connection are devalued on Two and a Half Men. Sexual pleasure and a life of worry-free leisure and material comfort are valued highly. Two and a Half Men is a hit because it is an escape from an economic and psychological depression. It is created to watch in an airport lounge near the end of an exhausting business trip, when you haven't had a date in a year, or with a half a gallon of ice cream when your weight is up 20 pounds and the unemployment checks are running out. The show is very brightly lit. The set and costumes are brightly colored. The women on the show are very pretty, but not so glamorous that the male viewer can't fantasize that they are attainable, or the female viewer can't see them as reasonable objects for self-identification. The women characters sometimes pay lip service to commitment and marriage. This serves two purposes. It provides a little comedic tension, and it lets middle-class women enjoy the show because they feel it has some understanding of their deeper desires of love and marriage, or for love and marriage. Two and a Half Men most reminds me of the American middle-class sex farce movies from the mid-1960s. Good Neighbor Sam, The Guide to the Married Man, and Under the Yum Yum Tree come to mind. Two of these movies starred Jack Lemmon. Walter Matthau and Robert Morse took the leads in Married Man. Two and a Half Men has all the elements the 60s farces had. The average guy with time and money and access to sex with beautiful women, but also adds new elements. The sex is spoken about more directly. There is no attempt to make Charlie Sheen's character a nice guy. Jack Lemmon's characters were always nice, if flawed, in these stories. Lemmon was even a little naive about his opportunities. The 60s farces were disingenuous because they gave the audience the fantasy of sexual freedom with a variety of partners while offering an inorganic moral of the story lauding marriage, fidelity, and hard work. Two and a Half Men knows that a big portion of the American population in the younger demographic that network TV prizes now views the American dream of Lemmon's old movies as a straitjacket. Most of whoever is left is frustrated in finding the good job and meaningful relationship which was much more doable for more people in the America of the 1960s. The creators of Two and a Half Men have made a cynical story and a very successful business model. The famous lowest common denominator of TV is no longer a reference to a lowbrow lack of intellectualism. It is now a reference to an intellectually based but lazy nihilism that dismisses the possibility of finding meaning in life while trumpeting the appeal of base pleasurable sensations. Everyone wants to live in a big, comfortable house and get laid a lot. And that's that. And I'll tell you, that's a pretty good piece. I didn't feel the need to improvise and add any commentary to that piece at all. That pretty much says it all in terms of what I think about Two and a Half Men. And obviously, I don't put it into the category of art. It's all escapism. I'll also say something that the guy, I don't even remember, what's his name? The guy who's the showrunner for Two and a Half Men and, I don't know, others. I don't watch these shows. Big Bang Theory. I know somebody who did some writing for him, tried to defend the guy because he owns art pieces or something. I don't know. I think the stuff is awful. He did this one show on Netflix that I watched a little bit with Paula about getting older or whatever. It had Michael Douglas and Alan Arkin in it. So he got two really good actors, and they did this show, and it supposedly dealt with deeper concepts, but not really, because I think the form of the situation comedy, which he stuck with, so he's got a situation comedy format. So if you're going to go to the situation comedy, I don't think you're going to get anything more than situation comedy. I mean, you're kind of confined by the superficiality of the form. So I don't know. I mean, I don't want to be snobbish about situation comedy. You know, I All in the Family, I think some All in the Family was as good as Death of a Salesman, you know? And that was a situation comedy. So maybe that's bullshit. It's just maybe that this guy, whose name thankfully escapes me at this time, this guy who's the creative force behind, which means basically that he put himself into a position of power where he could exploit a lot of other people for their creativity and ideas, and then watered everything down because he tempered it with he's basically in advertising. So, you know, somebody did Two and a Half Men is like he could be working for an advertising firm. It sells a lifestyle that sells the products that they advertise on the show. All right, here we go on. More difference in art and entertainment. This piece is called Urkel is Death. That suicide thing about Jaleel White is a hoax, but Urkel is death anyway. Let's see how much of this I can read without breaking away and making comments. A long time ago, I had this terrible job selling maintenance agreements for Sears lawnmowers. It was in this awful prefab building in this awful prefab office park. I was paid $6 an hour. I was naturally angry and depressed in my circumstances, as any Homo sapien would be. My coworkers and I were headed into this narrow, windowless room with vending machines for our required break. The timing of this recreation period always coincided with the showing of Family Matters, featuring Jaleel White as Urkel on the huge TV that hung from steel cables in the corner of the room. I hated and hate Urkel. I have nothing against Jaleel White, who just had a shitty job like mine, except his pay was better. And now I've learned while looking for a photo for this post, so this was posted on the blog, right? So I was searching for a photo, that Jaleel White committed suicide in 2007 at the age of 29. By the way, spoiler alert, I found out later that that was a hoax. It wasn't true. But I was writing this thing and I said, oh my God, Urkel committed suicide. I just wanted to rag on his show. So I continue. It makes sad and perfect sense to me. He was an avatar of depression. His job turned out to be much worse than my job at Sears. He was given his greatest financial success for doing something worthless, something far from actual life. My job was of so little value and transit that it was almost impossible to get stuck in it. Jaleel's job taught him that life had no meaning, and it doesn't. We must bring meaning to it. I say that over and over and over again in my writing, but I think it bears repeating, and it works in a lot of different contexts. The character of Urkel is the void, the end of matter, pure negation. Urkel is death without hope of redemption. Urkel is a narcotic. The sleepy Sears break room looked like a crack house as me and my glossy-eyed co-worker sullenly looked at the screen. Who knew that the pusher was overdosing on boredom and frustration too, ceding every waking moment to a commercial machine that told him when to jump and how high and would discard him when the show was over. Now my wife tells me that she found out that the report of Jaleel White's suicide was a hoax. He's an active actor and writer and the voice of Sonic the Hedgehog and worth $10 million. Good for him. But my metaphoric point still stands. Don't stop me now. I'm on a roll. It's not my fault that Jaleel White is not as sensitive as I am. I hated and hate Urkel's cartoonish nerd voice. I hated and hate his Godspell reject suspenders and circus colors. I hated and hate the roars of stupid laughter from the laugh track and or audio-enhanced studio audience. I hated and hate the bullshit. Bullshit too lame to even be a lie. I hated and hate all the lawyers that I spent my life watching nothing. All the lawyers? Boy, there's a Freudian slip. How do you like that? All the lawyers. That's another bunch of nothing that I spent besides being sitcom with that bullshit too. So I hated and hate all the hours that I spent my life watching nothing and all the hours I spent doing law, which was doing nothing. Blankly staring at a screen of rapidly flashing images accompanied by a soundtrack of discordant noise. Always too bright, always too loud. What was intended by its producers to be escapism for me was a depression enhancer. I grew to hate and still hate it when people say, I don't go to the movies for a message. I go to be entertained. Thanks, asshole. You're the reason why we get so many stupid, stultifying, soul-crushing movies. A little later, I was working a job not much better than the one at Sears. I was alone a lot at the time, and I went to Martin. I'm still alone a lot now. I mean, I'm alone. It's my fate in life to be alone a lot. It's not easy being me. I'll tell you. If I were still doing comedy, instead I don't get no respect, that would be my tagline. It's not easy being me. It's not easy being me. So I'm working another shitty job, and I was alone a lot. And I went to a Martin Scorsese documentary in which he discussed the work of older directors who influenced him. I remember him talking about a Fellini film entitled I Vitelloni. Scorsese introduced the work with such passion. It was about young Italian men who were layabouts, and actually not so young. I mean, some of them were up to their early 40s. But it was about young Italian men who were layabouts and womanizers and supported by their mothers. The whole show was great. Scorsese's documentary and Fellini's movie were the opposite of escapism. You might have thought earlier that a movie about aimlessness might be depressing for a young man with a wage slave job alone in a movie theater. But the opposite was true. Scorsese and Fellini, art, art, gave me a little life. They held up a mirror to my existence. They gave me the opposite of a phony attempt at escape, real engagement. I was unstuck for a moment. The moments grew with time. I saw I could go deeper. I could think. I could be turned on by something. I wasn't stuck with Sears and Urkel. Sometimes, even now, the TV drones on in the background, and the chicken shit of daily life and work drones on. But I can go to the theater within and see Martin Scorsese, Federico Fellini, and their friends. And in those moments, I sometimes think, like I did tonight, fuck you, Urkel. I'm alive. I'm not bored. I'm not chained to a vending machine, forced to look at you and work at Sears. I beat you, you son of a bitch. No one has wasted my time for many years. You got poor old Jaleel White. All right, it was a hoax. But you didn't get me. Forget you, Urkel. I won. That's really good. That piece is really good. And I think, I had a post, a vlog a couple of times ago about where I was going through the productivity of this Rick blog since I started it. The blog may have started in 2015. The writing started in 2011. I think my rebirth started in 2011. And this material is from a period where I was really writing well. I think there are dips. I think there are places that don't have this type of quality to it. I think these pieces that I'm reading right now, I still like. Okay. Now, this piece is actually called The Difference Between Art and Entertainment. Let's see how this one goes. It's important for an artist to be able to discern the difference between art and entertainment. Our authentic natures and required tasks always require the artist's voice and only occasionally call for the entertainer's diversion. Being human is much more than a performance. Artists and entertainers both love gaining money and popularity as a result of their work. The difference is an artist will make no choices in his work with an eye towards achieving those objectives. An entertainer has those objectives color all of his creative decisions. And I think that basically gets to the heart of it. I mean, an entertainer is going to tell stories and make images or whatever, but basically with the eye of being successful and making money. And being famous has to do with making money. It's like doing things that have markets. An artist loves the idea of having money, like everybody else, but won't change a word, won't change anything in order to get it. And that's that's the difference. Okay. An artist happily accepts the audience's admiration if he can get it. But when given the choice between popularity and authenticity, an artist will choose authenticity every time. An entertainer wants to manipulate the audience into thinking it loves him so that he can be rich and successful. Art is a life's work. Entertainment is a job. Entertainment is close kin. Entertainment is close kin to marketing and politics. Art is close kin to education. Art is much harder to achieve than entertainment. Entertainment is about what works. Art is about what's true. It's important to be aware of whether your project is an art or entertainment project. And this time it was like making the choice. And a lot of this was about adapting to professional people if they were going to look at themselves as artists or entertainers. I'm going to say right now, I don't care about this choice. This is what I didn't realize when I wrote this particular piece. There's no choice. There's no putting the hat on and off. There's no choice. There's no going back and forth. If you're an artist, you're an artist, and then you can't do the entertainment anymore. You can't. Entertainers look for audiences and strategize how to expand those audiences to ever greater. Entertainers look for audiences and strategize as to how to expand those audiences to ever greater numbers. Artists are found by their audiences. Artists are found by their audiences. Artists are popular when their personal vision matches the zeitgeist of a particular moment. Entertainers are popular when they have insight into the zeitgeist of a particular moment and exploit it for their own gain. Entertainers place messages in their work that are calculated to reflect the values of a majority or significantly sized minority of a particular demographic group or groups. This has become a very data-driven affair. Cecily Strong was removed as an anchor of the Saturday Night Live Weekend Update desk because she didn't test well with focus groups. When I was an actor at Second City in the 1980s, a time when the theater was very much a mom and pop operation, 2 graduates of the Wharton School of Business chatted with me after a show. They were interested in the entertainment business and told me they wanted to research the optimum laugh. Their vision of comedy was a very sophisticated mathematical formula designed to get a profitable result. By the way, I'm not bemoaning this or calling it evil. I don't know. I don't know if I'm bemoaning it, but I might call it evil now. It is what it is. Entertainment sells a product of distraction and pleasurable feeling. This was pre-Trump. I mean, obviously this is evil. All this calculation and manipulation of people is not good. People need education and art, and stop with this stupid, this senseless bullshit. I mean, a little bit of entertainment's okay. You're tired at the end of the day, you have a little bit of entertainment, but come on. It's time. It's time for reality. Because the world is burning. Entertainment sells a product of distraction and pleasurable feeling. It is okay as a restful escape after a hard day's work or a soothing break from loneliness. It is only dangerous when it gets confused with reality and truth, which happens unfortunately all the time. Well, that's a little bit less heated than what I just improvised there, and it might be closer to the truth. In too big doses, at the wrong places in the wrong times, with vulnerable people, entertainment can become toxic waste on the stream of consciousness. Art has nothing to do with all this. It's like science. Its entire aim is to accurately define reality. The accurate teachings of art can help guide persons and communities in their practical decision-making, just as scientific discovery does. Artists struggle to speak their personal truth, which they have earned through their personal experience. Since artists tell the truth, they naturally confront the audience without conscious intention. Art throws people off balance because it tells people things that they don't know. Entertainment is about kissing ass to sell images, products, and lifestyles. Entertainment tells people what they want to believe so that the entertainer can make money. Entertainment can be done responsibly. It can appeal to what is best and what an audience already knows. Second City recently banned gunplay from its scenes after school shootings. That is ethical business. That's corporate social responsibility. It's not art. Everything in entertainment, everything is derivative of art. Since art is an expression of universal truths told from individual perspectives, it naturally needs to new and innovative forms and styles of expression. Entertainers see the emotional and existential impact on audiences of the new styles and steal them to achieve their own business objectives. For this reason, the best training for young entertainers is training in an art. If they can create a work of art, they can easily meet any challenge that show business puts before them. In entertainment, authority lies with who is most famous and makes the most money. In art, authority lies with the truth. Entertainers seek personal success. Artists seek first personal achievement and then the highest possible consciousness of truth for the artists and their audiences. Entertainment celebrates and congratulates, art transforms. Great entertainers have extraordinary business acumen. Great artists may or may not have that quality, but they always have extraordinary moral integrity in their work. An entertainer can be a wonderful human being, and an artist can be a jerk. Many artists put so much energy into their work that they can't find the energy to extend their insights into their lives. Many entertainers collect and or appreciate art and apply its teachings in their lives. The artist is never the teacher. His art teaches, and he learns along with his audience. An artist can ignore his own lesson as well as his audience can. Now, this one I'm not sure. A person can be an artist and an entertainer. I don't know. Richard Pryor's stand-up was art, and most of his film work was entertainment. Art and entertainment are closely related and separated most by their intentions. I'm going to change that, though. I think that Richard Pryor had a shelf life, like everybody does, but he had a shelf life on what he did that was really artistic. You look at Richard Pryor's, Live at the Sunset Strip, or some of those comedy long form monologues that were made into movies. That is really great art, and you see a lot of an artistic impulse and innovation, like in the Richard Pryor show that was on for a while in the '70s on NBC. But for the most part, though, his movies are shit. The Toy, come on, Brewster's Millions or whatever. It's just a lot of crap, and you wonder at a certain point. Some of these guys. I did the piece on Frank Sinatra before this one, and I wonder how much that entertainment thing is a drag upon them. Because I think Richard Pryor was very engaged in the fact that he wanted to be a black power player in Hollywood, and he became that. And he got that power and everything else. But what he did that lasted, and the thing that really matters, the art, is in that stand up, which is like on the level of Mark Twain or better in certain circumstances. So I don't know. Can a person be? I don't think doing entertainment is helpful to art. I don't think anything that you have to do where you compromise yourself or you do something half-ass is equal to art. The only thing that I figured for myself is that basically teaching is the least soul destroying, because you have a lot of autonomy and basically you're talking about what you do. But really, what matters is the art. I've done a lot of things in my life and everything else, and I am certain that if I ever did anything that is of any value, it is all going to be found on this blog. This is the highest quality stuff that I've done, and it's done because it's been done consciously with the idea of being an artist and exploring what that means. All right. Art and entertainment are closely related and separated most by their intentions. They're not closely, well, they are closely related in terms of entertainment is a perversion of art. Now, I said the accompanying photo, this was the photo that I ran on the blog with this written piece, is from a work of art about entertainment, Laurence Olivier and John Osborne's The Entertainer. And the point that I make here is actually a dumb one. I said Olivier often gave art and entertainment in the same performance. No, The Entertainer is really really exposes what entertainment is. Okay, it's about the darkness of entertainment. And The Entertainer, John Osborne's The Entertainer, is art. And Olivier is a guy that did a lot of art and then and then cashed in and did, and you see that all the time. I mean, they cash in for money, and I don't know. I mean, maybe they understand. I'm going to be interested. De Niro and Scorsese have done art. Okay, obviously much more prominent in art than the Rick blog. It goes without saying, but I'm saying in the context of this point. But Raging Bull and Taxi Driver, and especially like the King of Comedy, which were art. King of Comedy was a failure at the box office. I mean, a lot of it didn't make money. Scorsese was always an outsider from Hollywood. Finally they honored Scorsese, but Robert De Niro's made a lot of shitty movies, and he's given some of the great film performances of all time. So now he's coming out with this movie, The Irishman. So they're going to come in, and is that going to be art, or it's going to be entertainment? This is an open question. It's not. I'm really not only contemplating the relationship between art and entertainment, but I'm contemplating, which has been a problem for me, the relationship between being an artist and the compromise of commerce. Like right now, I'm looking for a job, and I'm living on savings, and I'm looking for a job. So, and I have requirements about that job. Like, I want to be treated respectfully. I don't want the work to be soul denying. I don't want to deal with all the condescension and the bullshit, and I don't want to deal with all the stupidity and the evil that you find. Does a job like that exist? Does De Niro know something? Said, well, I'll go make millions of dollars making this, just keep making these shitty movies and cash in these big paychecks. And then every once in a while, when I get the opportunity, I'll go with Scorsese and I'll do something that's really good. That he knows what's good. I mean, I know I might seem pretty long in the tooth to be considering these type issues, but it really is. It's really like, it may be the bedeviling question of my life. Is how you make these things work, and then as a corollary, I tried to promote this stuff. I hate it. It's like, why should it be promoted? I'm doing it. That should be up to somebody else. But anyway, okay, that's what I'm thinking about today. So on an art to entertainment continuum, Miles Davis playing with his back to the audience would be purely on the art side. I guess Miles Davis would do that. Play with his back to the audience would be purely on the art side. And Jay Leno mocking whoever was being humiliated in the news on a particular day, fairly or not, in his monologue, would be purely on the entertainment side. And that's where it stops. So you have that continuum. Miles Davis on one end and Jay Leno on the other. Okay, that's it for this one.